Brazilian food feels bold, colorful, layered, unforgettable. But behind every dish, there's history, adaptation, and surprising technique. From street snacks to slow-cooked traditions, this isn't just food, it's identity. I'm Atlas, and this is every Brazilian food explained in minutes. Feijoada. This is Brazil in a single pot. Feijoada is a slow-cooked black bean stew with pork cuts, often including sausages, ribs, and preserved meats. It traces back to Portuguese stews, but evolved in Brazil using available ingredients. Here's the key. It's not just the stew. It's served with rice, collard greens, orange slices, and farofa, balancing fat, acidity, and texture. Technically, slow cooking breaks down collagen into gelatin, creating richness. In American terms, it's like barbecue meets chili, heavy, layered, iconic. But Brazil's next food is pure air. Pão de Queijo. These shouldn't work, but they do. Pão de Queijo are small cheese breads made with tapioca flour instead of wheat. That changes everything. They're naturally gluten-free and develop a chewy, elastic texture with a crisp exterior. The origin comes from colonial Brazil, when wheat was scarce and cassava became essential. Here's the science. Tapioca starch gelatinizes differently, creating stretch without gluten. Inside, they're hollow and airy. In U.S. terms, imagine a cheese puff with mochi-like chew. Light, addictive, surprising. But the next one is pure sugar chemistry. This is Brazil's most iconic sweet. Brigadeiro is made from condensed milk, cocoa powder, and butter, cooked into a thick paste, then rolled into small balls. It was created in the 1940s during a political campaign, when ingredients were limited. Here's the key detail: texture control. Heat determines consistency. Undercook, it's too soft. Overcook, it turns chewy. Then it's coated in chocolate sprinkles. In American terms, it's like fudge meets truffle. Rich, dense, nostalgic. But Brazil's next food is engineered for craving. This is Brazil's ultimate street snack. Coxinha is shredded chicken mixed with creamy filling, wrapped in dough, shaped like a teardrop, then deep fried. Legend says it mimics a chicken drumstick. The outside is crispy, the inside is soft and savory. Here's the trick. The dough is made from chicken broth itself, boosting flavor internally. Technically, frying creates a moisture barrier while locking softness inside. In U.S. terms, it's like fried chicken croquette perfection. Crispy, rich, addictive. But the next one is completely misunderstood. Açaí Bowl. This is where Brazil and the U.S. completely disagree. In Brazil, açaí is savory adjacent, less sweet, more earthy, often paired with granola or even fish in some regions. In the US, it became a dessert, loaded with sugar, fruit, and toppings. The fruit comes from the Amazon, rich in antioxidants and fats. Here's the technical detail. It oxidizes quickly, so it must be frozen fast. Texture is thick, almost like sorbet. Same fruit, different identity. One is fuel, the other is indulgence. But the next dish brings the ocean. Moqueca. Moqueca is controlled simplicity, a seafood stew made with fish, onions, garlic, tomatoes, and peppers, slow cooked gently. There are two main styles: Bahian, with coconut milk and palm oil, and capixaba, lighter and tomato-based. Here's the key: no aggressive stirring. The pot is gently shaken to avoid breaking the fish. Technically, it's about heat control and ingredient layering. In U.S. terms, it's closer to a delicate seafood braise than a heavy stew. Fragrant, balanced, precise. But the next food is pure street chaos. Pastel. Pastel is speed and crunch. A thin dough pocket filled with cheese, meat, or more, then deep fried to order. It became popular through Japanese immigrants in Brazil, influenced by Chinese spring rolls. Here's the defining feature: the blistered crust. High-temperature frying creates bubbles and crunch. It's often served at street markets with sugarcane juice. In American terms, it's like a super crispy turnover. Fast, loud, satisfying. But the next food isn't even a main dish. Farofa. Farofa is texture, not a meal. Made from toasted cassava flour, it's mixed with butter, onions, eggs, bacon, or other additions. It exists to add contrast. Dry meets moist. Crunch meets softness. That's the roll. Here's the technical point. Toasting reduces moisture and intensifies flavor through browning. It's used alongside feijoada, meats, in everyday meals. In US terms, it's like a savory crumb topping. Simple, essential, everywhere. But the next one defines Brazil globally. Churrasco Brasileiro. This is meat, elevated. Brazilian churrasco is about large cuts of beef, seasoned simply with salt, grilled over open flame. The technique comes from gauchos, South American cowboys. Here's the difference. Minimal seasoning, maximum control. The goal is to highlight the meat itself. Cuts are sliced directly onto your plate in continuous service. Technically, heat zones control doneness. In US terms, it's like barbecue stripped to essentials. Pure, bold, primal. But the next dish is deeply complex. Vatapá. Vatapá is layered intensity, a creamy dish made with bread, shrimp, coconut milk, peanuts, and palm oil. It comes from Afro-Brazilian cuisine, especially in Bahia. Here's the key. It's not one texture. It's thick, smooth, and rich, but with deep flavor layers. Technically, emulsification binds fats and liquids together. It's often served with acarajé, or rice. In American terms, it's like a savory peanut stew turned luxurious, complex, bold, unforgettable. But the next one is pure transformation. Tapioca. Tapioca is minimalism. Made from hydrated cassava starch, it's cooked into a thin white crepe on a hot surface. No fermentation, no gluten. It binds through heat alone. Fillings can be sweet or savory. Cheese, coconut, condensed milk. Here's the key detail. The starch granules fuse without becoming elastic. That creates a soft, slightly grainy texture. In US terms, it's like a cross between a crepe and flatbread. Simple, adaptable, ancient. But the final item is pure identity. Guaraná. This isn't just a drink, it's cultural energy. Guaraná is a soda made from Amazonian fruit seeds, naturally rich in caffeine. But it tastes nothing like cola. It's lighter, fruitier, slightly herbal. Here's the surprising detail. Guaraná has more caffeine than coffee beans by weight. The drink became mainstream in Brazil as a national alternative to global sodas. In US terms, it's like a hybrid between soda and energy drink. Refreshing, unique, unmistakable, and it closes the loop on Brazilian flavor. Different regions, different influences, indigenous, African, European, all in one cuisine. Brazil isn't one flavor, it's a system of contrasts. I'm Atlas, and if you want to explore the foods that shape cultures, follow the journey.